Rumors are starting to swirl. The Buffalo Bills finishing moves before the trade deadline, and it could potentially involve an ex-Buffalo Bills player. Before we get into the trades, I want to talk about Micah Hyde and the injuries on this Buffalo Bills roster right now. We can clearly see that Damar Hamlin is banged up. Taylor Rapp is also banged up. We saw him on the practice field dealing with a foot yesterday. And we got Mike Edwards, who dealt with an injury early in the offseason, and illness kept him out last week. The Bills are definitely needing help at the safety spot. And if we consider bringing in a Jamal Adams or someone else in free agency unfamiliar with Sean McDermott and Bobby Babbich's playbook, I think there's going to be a lag time there. There's going to be a delay to get that player up to speed, similar to what we saw with Mike Edwards not having the full off-season and training camp with the Buffalo Bills, and we can see that he really hasn't even seen the field yet for Bills Mafia. So that's why bringing in a player like Micah Hyde, an ex-Buffalo Bills player, would be absolutely dynamic because he can come in, hit the ground running, and be an immediate impact. There's no training on the job here. This is bringing in Micah Hyde, who was with Sean McDermott for almost 7 years, and I think he will come in here, fill in seamlessly to fill the void in the gap, to allow time for rookie Cole Bishop to get up to speed and Mike Edwards, our new free agent. Some people are saying the Bills would sign Micah Hyde and actually get rid of Mike Edwards, but I think just due to the injuries and everything that's occurring here, I believe the Buffalo Bills could keep both. But it's been persistent rumor all year long that veteran Micah Hyde, who battled a lot of injuries, was rumored to say that he would come back under the right circumstances. And I think Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, proved that we're going to be winning the AFC East. I mean, look at the Patriots. Look at the Jets and the turmoil happening there. And Miami Dolphins with Tua, we really don't know what's going to happen with Tua. Obviously, they're going to get a little bit better once he comes back. But just understanding that Tua is dealing with his own injuries, I think the Buffalo Bills stand a fair shot at winning the AFC East this early in the season, and Micah Hyde knows that that's a clear roadmap to the playoffs and potential Super Bowl run. The Bills make a move for Amari Cooper, supplementing our offense, but what have we done defensively? We've done nothing but lose people since the beginning of the year. Between the Von Miller suspension, Matt Milano getting injured, Taron Johnson being injured, and now injuries to Dorian Williams and Terrell Bernard, the Buffalo Bills would be very benefited by bringing in an elite edge rusher, and not only an edge rusher, but someone good against the run. And that's why in my previous video, I spoke about Maxx Crosby and the relationship that he already has with players on this team like Von Miller and Greg Rousseau and Daquan Jones, all getting to know one another at Von Miller's Pass Rush Summit. And I think Maxx Crosby, to me, is one of the best, if not the best, defensive end in the NFL currently right now. Now, Myles Garrett is another player that is rumored to be in the Bills' interest about bringing him in here. But in my mind, Myles Garrett is getting up in age. I get it. 6'7", he's huge, he's big, he can still play, don't get me wrong. But I think Maxx Crosby just brings an extra element to the Bills. A high motor, can really get to opposing quarterbacks. Now, you could see NFL trade deadline is November 5th at 4 p.m. Brandon Beane was looked and saw to be on his phone an awful lot during practice. And you can see we've still got a few weeks until the trade deadline if there's something else we need. So that is words from Brandon Beane openly admitting like they're going to keep the door open here for any sort of player and any sort of situation. And on Pat McAfee's show, Brandon Beane revealed a lot, basically saying, hey, look, like he's in conversations with teams, and some of those situations are, if we lose next week, then we're going to trade the player, but if we win, you know, we're still in this thing. So some things still have to shake out, and it could very well happen after next week's game. You have certain teams lose, like the Raiders, like the Browns. If they continue to lose with them starting Jameis Winston, we can make a play for Myles Garrett. We can make a play for Maxx Crosby, and also some other free agents out there if those things fall through. But if the Bills were able to swing this and bring in arguably the best pass rusher in football, the defensive line would be unreal. And they would be a true game wrecker at the position. AJ Epinesa, Greg Rousseau, and Von Miller all mixing in there. In my mind, I would prefer Maxx Crosby, but we all know Myles Garrett is definitely, arguably, in the conversation to being one of the best. And if you compare that with Von Miller, I think Von Miller, Myles Garrett, talk about a 1-2 punch on that defensive line. Von Miller, Maxx Crosby. When we saw the highlights in my previous video from Maxx Crosby completely shutting down Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. So it goes to show you what Maxx Crosby's all about. Really interested. So the Bills are definitely fishing for Myles Garrett, and we're fishing for other players in the league. And in my mind, there's another player here on the Browns the Bills should definitely consider. Will the Browns trade Za'Darius Smith? He's only owed $700,000, which is a very friendly number for this upcoming season. We could see that's what we did with Amari Cooper. He already got paid. Brandon Beane is frugal. Brandon Beane knows how to save money and bring in elite talent. Even the trade with Stephon Diggs' contract ultimately during his time here in Buffalo really was a very reasonable deal versus going out and signing free agent Amari Cooper back then and assuming that high-bloated salary. The Bills go out and get Amari Cooper and have the Browns basically pay that cap, and we still have Amari Cooper today. So Za'Darius Smith is definitely a player the Bills are eyeing up as well. Another rumor is another wide receiver, Cooper Kupp. But in my mind, we have a player here like Khalil Shakir who fills that Cooper Kupp position. And I know Cooper Kupp can play on the outside, he can play on the inside. I'd say right now his overall understanding of the game is probably better than Khalil Shakir, but run after catch. Khalil Shakir is aiming to be a Cooper Kupp. And I think Cooper Kupp, he is a great wide receiver, but we need to create those memorable moments for Khalil Shakir. We need to continue to build that continuity between Josh Allen and Khalil Shakir. Brandon Beane is awfully high on Khalil Shakir, saying that he could have be a top five wide receiver in the NFL. I think he's definitely on track to do that. And you pair that with Amari Cooper. We saw Keon Coleman pop off. The Bills are keeping the door open before this trade deadline to see how they can supplement this team. I think offensively, we've proved enough here between Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, already showing to pay dividends and be a little bit more explosive, having the first wide receiver in Keon Coleman go for over 100 yards. I don't think there's any coincidence there that we bring in Amari Cooper and another player eats and pops off. So I think offensively, we're good. We're able to establish the run with Ray Davis and James Cook and this Aaron Cromer offensive line. Now, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox and everything that we have offensively, Josh Allen has yet to throw an interception, thus proving that he has continued to improve. And I really believe the Bills would be benefited by bringing in someone defensively. And if we miss out before the trade deadline, like Myles Garrett, Maxx Crosby, Za'Darius Smith, the Bills can still supplement this defense by bringing in a player like Micah Hyde, a free agent like Jamal Adams. I think this really would be a nice little touch for the Buffalo Bills. And keep in mind, these free agents like a Micah Hyde, like a Jamal Adams, or whoever else is out there in free agency, we don't have to worry about making a move before the trade deadline. It could very well happen after the trade deadline. So seeing the injuries between Mike Edwards, Damar Hamlin, and now Taylor Rapp, I think there is a need to bring in an extra safety for Bills Mafia. But I truly believe the Bills are on the right track here. Brandon Beane has done his thing again. You look at the other players like Tre'Davious White, Gabe Davis, even Mitch Morris, all these other players that we pretty much parted ways with, even Stephon Diggs. I mean, they really have not done much this season. And Brandon Beane moved on from these players, and we're doing just as good. And we're so set up to win the AFC East, go into the playoffs, and start this roadmap to the Super Bowl. But I appreciate you guys all so much. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit like, subscribe, check the links down below in the description. You can use BNC at SeatGeek, promo code BNC at SeatGeek to get $20 off. I mean, there's Halloween events that you could use it for. There's concerts. There's Sabres games, whatever you want. Anywhere in America, you could use promo code BNC and get $20 off your next purchase. Also, the links down there to Course Careers. It's personally how I started my full-time job. And the shirts, the BNC chicken wing merch, free shipping, sizes small all the way up to 5XL. Check it out. Appreciate you guys. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.